It's just an absolute must. Now, what's some of the most important parts about being a leader? One of the most important parts is that you have congruency in your leadership. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, what that means is, if you're asking people to do something, you're sharing with them what they need to do to be successful, you have to make sure you're doing it yourself. Because if you're telling people they need to do something and you're not doing it yourself, you have zero credibility from a leadership standpoint. So congruency in leadership is critical. In our business, it's really simple. We've got 3 principles: duplication, consistent effort, and time. What do you teach people to do? You teach them to duplicate our system, our action plan for success, and within that, our 4-step success system. And then you teach them to do it consistently. That means every single day, or if they're working 3 or 4 days out of a week, 3 or 4 days out of the week, every week. And of course, time, let's face it, we all know it takes 12 to 24 months to lay a solid foundation, building a home-based business in a part-time capacity. If you're doing it full-time, 6 to 12 months can lay a solid foundation for very few select individuals with a lot of experience and a big team of people they can amass very quickly. It can be done in 1 to 3 months. But again, that's the exception. That's 1%, the top 1%. So for most people, it's going to be 12 to 24 months. If people tell you you're going to do it faster than that, run away from them as fast as you can, because it just does not happen. I mean, that's one of the problems with our business. People have started to promise people so much, so quick for so little, that they get disillusioned because they've got unrealistic expectations, and it does not happen. So leadership is critical. You've got to lead by example. If you don't do that, you will not make 6 or 7 figures, period. You'll be out of this business, you'll be on to the next, and you'll be on to the same pattern, failure after failure after failure. And along the way, you might hit something where it kind of hits for a little while, but without the right success principles, without the right leadership, you're doomed for failure. I'm just telling you, I've seen this. I've been doing this for 19 years, hundreds of thousands of people I've worked with. You're doomed for failure. So elevate your leadership. Even if you've never been a leader before, leadership is a mindset. You have to see yourself as a leader. Some of the things we talked about with visualization. You have to envision yourself as a leader. The most important thing, it's your actions. It's not what you say. It's not how you walk, how you talk. It's your actions. Because if your actions are congruent with what you're teaching, your leadership will, it'll absolutely explode. As long as, very important point, as long as you're doing the activity. You got to be prospecting, you got to be building, because you can't just be talking and not doing it. So the action has to be true action. You have to be doing activity. So leadership, critical. The most important part is that you're congruent in your leadership and you're doing exactly what you share with people they should be doing as well. If you're leading by example, the masses will follow you. I promise you that. And the final point is relationships. Relationships are the core foundation of our business. It's the mortar between the bricks. See, the relationships are really the best advantage to this business. I mean, the money is good. The money can be great. But what is so much more powerful are the relationships that you develop. And the way you sustain that income is by having relationships. So as you start to build your business, as you start to work with people in this business, get to know as many people as you can. Not only the leaders that brought you into the business, but other leaders in the company that may not have anything directly to do with what you're doing. And as your team develops, get to know some of the leaders that develop on your team. Developing relationships is absolutely one of the most critical elements to success in this business. Because like anything in life, there are ups and downs. Right now, we're going through one of the worst financial economic downturns that we've experienced since the Great Depression. What do people do during down times? Well, they turn to people they can rely on. They turn to people they have relationships with. They have turned to people that they can trust and that they feel comfortable with. Well, guess what? Every business, every single business is cyclical. There's ups and there's downs. How did the Amway people make it through the 4 years where they had the FTC lawsuit? They banded together. They were tight. They were relationships. And you know what? That was a very difficult time for 4 years. But those that stuck together, those that stayed the course, they're the multimillionaires today. So the key to it is relationships. You've got to develop solid relationships. Get to know the people. Now, how do you do this? It's very simple. Don't just show up at all the meetings and trainings the minute it starts. And don't just leave the minute that it's over. Matter of fact, get there early. Volunteer. Help set up the room. Help register people. Talk to everybody's guests. Help them validate the leadership and the commitment of the team and the opportunity. After the meeting's over, stay and help people. Even if all of your guests and your team have left, stay and help people. Just be around the leaders. The more you're around them, the more you're going to assimilate. You can hear the way they're talking, hear the way they're answering questions. You're educating yourself by being around them. If they go out for dinner with them. Just being involved in that group, increasing your relationship with the people, but again, adding value. Don't just hang out to hang out. Add value to the team. Do what you can to assist and to help. If there's things that need to be taken apart, electronic equipment, things carried out to the cars, do whatever you can to be a team player. That's where relationships are developed. That's how you forge relationships, and time is the key. The deeper and the more depth you have in these relationships, which only happen through time, the more solid your team will be, which comes back to your leadership, leading by example, and that's all based on the vision you have. The greater your vision, the greater your leadership, and the more in-depth the relationships will develop, the more solid your team is, and the more secure your income is long-term. It really is pretty simple. Vision, leadership, relationships. Master those three things, and you've got a 6 or 7 figure income for the year. For some of you, you'll have it on a monthly basis. It's totally up to you.